Hey guys, Eddie from UrbanCred, UrbanCred.com. We're at UrbanCred New York City today. This is our shop in New York City in Greenpoint. And today we're with Alex. He is the founder of Held Closely, an upcoming bag brand that focuses on a lot of, oh, you know what? Instead of me saying it, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey y'all, Alex here, the founder and owner of Held Closely. Small bag brand coming out of Austin, Texas. We kind of specialize in ultralight messenger bags, a couple different sizes, kind of philosophy around super minimal, clean designs using modern technical fabrics. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. If you don't know this, we're doing this Q&A at the shop. Alex came out to kind of do his first event in the physical spot, and it's our first time hosting him here. It was a great reception. People loved it. People came by, visited, say hi, and said a lot of great feedback and stuff. So if you guys came out, thank you for that. We both appreciate it.
Yeah,
truly.
Thank you.
So without further ado, let's get into the Q&A interview. So as we always do, we'd love to kind of ask you how you started your brand, and just like, did you start from, like, where was your, what did you do before that? And then how did that transfer into what you're doing now, like Held Closely?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in earnest about 3 years ago, but the story kind of starts a lot longer back, about 20 years ago or so. Was living in San Francisco and commuting basically on motorcycles or bicycles most of the time, and was looking for a bag at the time that was kind of ultra lightweight, easy to take with me, but could expand real big to carry groceries or anything you kind of pick up while you're out and about, you know, bike commuting, motorcycle commuting, that kind of thing, and couldn't really find what I was looking for. So at the time, I went and built a prototype of the bag I wanted, just thinking it was a little prototype I'd make, use it here and there. Ended up using it a ton. And then over that 20-year period or so, the fabric game completely changed. A lot of cool fabrics coming out, a lot of interesting ultralight, ultra high strength types of fabrics, these new laminates, companies like Challenge Sailcloth. And so about 3 years ago, I decided to take that original prototype and start making new versions of the bag out of some of these new materials. And that really was kind of the start of the company.
And when there's 20 years, that's like a long period of time. Like, when during that point was it like, okay, I have this thing that I kind of made for myself?
Yep.
When was the kind of turning point where you're like, oh, I'm gonna make this into Held Closely?
Yeah, it had been in the back of my mind like the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think what got me was there were two things. One, I started doing a lot. I was doing a lot of backpacking during that time, and in that world, you know, the ultralight fabrics kind of came up, and I started noticing and using a lot of these. And so in the back of my mind, I was like, well, these are really cool. I'd like to apply that to more of an urban carry situation. And at the time, think like 15 years ago, there wasn't that much in the urban carry space using those fabrics.
Right.
But in the ultralight world, there was. So that was one thing. The second thing was my brother stole the bag, and he started using it all the time.
Right.
It ended up, you know, it was one of those things, we'd talk about it. It just became very useful. And so I was like, there's something here that the market is missing. I want to try it. And then, like I said, about a little over 3 years ago, kind of dove in.
That's a big compliment, your brother taking your stuff. That's like
right.
The same vein as if my wife started taking my bag. So I same kind of feel there. So then how did your background before Held Closely kind of apply your experiences to what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background's in industrial design. I worked at places like New Balance designing shoes. I was a toy designer for a long time. And so, you know, that world of making things, manufacturing, designing, drawing, always been a big part of my life. So, you know, I have sketchbooks filled with ideas for products, bags, all kinds of things. And so that really is, you know, the background in industrial design and manufacturing. When I was doing the toy design, I spent a lot of time in Asia, working with manufacturers over there. So I built up a pretty good set of contacts that helped kind of kickstart this company.
Cool. And that's a good segue into kind of what I was wondering about, which was Held Closely has a pretty distinct kind of look. And it's not an easy thing to do, and especially in the world of like bags where a lot of people are trying to push their own brand, trying to be unique, trying to be special. It's hard to kind of cut through that noise. How do you describe your own design philosophy? Like, how do you kind of narrow down, okay, this is what I want for my bag, and it keeps to what Held Closely already does?
Yep, good question. I think if I were to sum it up, I would say it's ultralight, very minimal design aesthetic, nothing hanging off, no extra straps, things like that. Unstructured bags, and basically no sort of lining or extra material. So what that gives you is a bag that is extraordinarily flexible. It kind of takes on the form of whatever you're carrying. So if you're, carrying just a couple things, a notebook out for the day at a cafe, a book, a light layer, easy. If you want to fill it up, packing cubes, pouches, all that kind of stuff, you can. But it kind of transforms to the shape of what you want. The other thing was kind of the extensibility, if you will. So the expansion on all the bags across our line. So I think all of these, very minimal, ultralight, modern fabrics, and unstructured bags. Makes them easy to pack too.
Right. And I think like the term unstructured is kind of very interesting to hear. What do you say that part of your design philosophy, how does that apply, or how does that show through your bags? Like, is it because of just how these are kind of like cut out in terms of like, oh, this section is kind of, it's not like so consistent, I would say, but like it cuts out into its own section. You can kind of like see where it's not like, some bags are kind of very flat, whereas this has a little bit more dimension. Like, is that kind of like what you mean by?
Yeah. So when I think of unstructured, there's no sort of hard paneling.
Okay. So.
There's no the form. Part of it is where the name came from, because of the fabric and the way the bag is built. It really starts to form around your body. So it holds close to the body, which was really kind of part of the design philosophy early on. And that sort of lack of structure gives you that flexibility.
Okay, interesting. So then when you, these kind of products, when you design them, right, what comes first? Is it the silhouette? Do you pick hardware first? Or are there like you said, the 4 pieces where you must have, you kind of design around that?
Yeah. So my design process, it's always starts with sketching.
Okay.
That's kind of that's where I like to live. That's when I go to the cafe, with a little notebook. I'm sketching out ideas all the time. I've been doing that basically my whole life. So it really, the form starts there for me. And then, the challenge, I think, is to continue to remove things until you have something interesting.
Okay.
Because it's so easy to just add stuff. And, if you look at a lot of other companies, one of the ways I wanted to kind of differentiate was it's very easy to add features, to talk about features. It's kind of hard to remove them and kind of boil something down to the essence. And that's really what this was about. Very simple, minimal pocketing, but very intentional in the way that it's structured. So start with the sketching, and then,
Yeah, I mean, I think when developing a product, it's very easy to kind of go crazy on features. Like, it can do this, it can do that. It has these kind of zippers, but also has these kind of straps. So it's complicated, and it's a tough thing to do, to kind of reduce rather than kind of add. So it's commendable to be able to kind of like sit down and say, hey, I gotta cut these kind of features enough where it's like just right.
Keep removing until it's ready.
Right.
So
I also want to kind of go into your first iterations. I know like we're talking about a lot of design, stuff like that. If you guys came out to the event, you would see that he has bought some of his prototypes to show. So maybe we can put this bad boy down and then swap it for one of your first iterations here.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to clip this real quick.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yeah. So this one is like one of his first ones that he kind of made, and you can tell it's been around.
You can tell that I made this one.
Yeah.
So this is, when I said this started 20 years ago, this is the very first prototype of the bag. And basically what made this unique at the time was I took a tote bag and a tote bag silhouette, added compression straps at the bottom, and added kind of this was off a crossbody bag or a fanny pack, really. These were all items bought at a thrift store, borrowed a friend's sewing machine, stitched them all back together. And this was the bag that just became useful. This bag's literally been around the world. Wow. I don't know how many countries. It's been, shoved in other bags, taken with me. And the thing that made it unique was very, very light, kind of hugs your body when you wear it, but can hold an incredible amount of stuff because the tote bag is huge, in that 35-liter range. So, you go out for the day, you want to stop by the farmer's market, you want to pick up, some gifts or anything like that, it all fits in here. And so this was kind of the OG that just got used and used and used, and then, eventually wanted to make it into something more modern, get somebody who actually knew how to run a sewing machine, to help me out.
I mean, I think it's pretty impressive just like to be able to sew a working bag. That's already pretty impressive enough. So kudos to that.
Yeah.
What are some of the features here that carried over to one of your newer bags?
Yeah. So, that's a good question. So giant volume, the ability to use the compression straps to kind of open and close. But what I didn't like was that they dangle around like this and kind of hang. So I wanted to change that. I loved this. Just had a simple open pocket on the front that became super useful. Use it for a ton of stuff. Use it for a U-lock. Use it for anything, water bottles you're walking around. So some kind of open pocketing on the front, but I missed like a zipper pocket. Somewhere you could actually store some stuff that you didn't want maybe to fall out or anything like that. One big zipper. This has no pocketing on the inside. So one giant zipper. And then I wanted a little extra on the inside. Because somewhere to put something to kind of hold it in place. But the main form remained the same.
It's been through a lot. Like
it has.
It's hard to see on video, but you can see that there's like some fraying here and there.
The ringer.
Yeah. And then this obviously translated into a second version, which is this one right here.
This one right here. So this was the first sort of prototype I made when I re-kicked off the idea. This was probably 3.5 years ago or something. So not using any fancy materials yet because I was trying to keep costs down. You can see kind of the same basic shape here. Still using the compression straps on the bottom. I was playing with different ideas on how to kind of keep the fabric from being all over the place here. This had little snaps on the side. And then a large mesh pocket on the front. This turned out to be too big, too floppy, a little bit too much. But I did use the fidlock here, which I really loved. The ability to kind of one hand open, close. That was a cool feature on this bag. So you can start to see the evolution. The other thing that happened here was the strap. So the strap design, where the strap actually goes into the bag, this was the first time I started playing with that. I did use a sort of compression clasp here, which worked okay, but if the bag is really packed, it slips.
I see.
And it's not very comfortable. It's kind of a weird shape, so it kind of digs into you. So I wanted to do something a little bit better with that. That's prototype 2.
Wow. So yeah, I'm starting to see the vision come to life. And then translating to the third version, like this journey, was it, did you have to, obviously you had to eventually go to a factory.
Yep.
Was it something that you consulted them for some advice and some feedback?
So first I actually worked with a buddy of mine who I've known a long time, Fernando, Studio Far, soft goods designer out in San Francisco. He helped me kind of translate my initial ideas into the tech packs that are required. I had done stuff before, but not made sort of soft goods specific tech packs. So he helped me with that translation layer in working with the factory to kind of get those first sort of official bags made. And that's what you're seeing. There were a couple other iterations and prototypes, but then it kind of comes to this final form factor for the larger bag that we make here.
Yeah, and then for the tech pack, for people who don't know, it's basically just kind of like a blueprint of like what the bag will eventually become.
That's right. It's all the information that the factory needs to be able to manufacture your bag kind of at scale.
Right.
So think all the colors, all the measurements, all the details, the spacing, the sizing, materials, everything, right? Everything called out, hardware,
right.
Everything.
Wow. So then when you reached the end, you had this product, right?
Yep.
And then you had to make that decision to order hundreds.
Yep.
How did that feel like? Was that like nerve-wracking? Like, oh man.
It's a little tough. You're like, all right, here we're doing it.
We're committing,
But I'd already kind of committed a bit. And so it was like, let's go for it. Let's see what we can do. And the goal really was first to make something for myself. And I knew if I liked it, there were probably 10 or 20 other people that might dig it. Right. And I would see, you gotta try things and find out. So it was a good first run. And we sold them all.
That's great. Did family members support you, or they're like,
oh yeah, no, family members are down. Everybody's my mom rocks the day bag.
Hell yeah.
This one right here. There's pictures of her on the Instagram.
Yeah.
She just turned 80.
Oh, wow.
She rocks this thing every day.
That's the
full on family support.
That's the best support you can get.
That's it.
Cool. All right. So this is supposed to be like a 10-minute, I don't know how far we are into it, but we are reaching the end of the interview. This is a short one. I usually go an hour into interviews, but I do want to do maybe a few other questions. So, a question that's in my mind, and I kind of ask you about it too, is like, if you, these are obviously what ifs, but if you had to, if there was a guy, designer, a brand, or someone out there that you'd be like ecstatic to be able to kind of go and work with, regardless if it's like on a new bag or like an iteration of this bag or something where you guys can collaborate with, who or what would that be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, one of the things that I've taken away from this experience over the last couple of years is just like the enthusiasm of the community. Like the folks in this world have been super supportive. Everybody I've met at, events like what we did here today at UrbanCred, awesome people, really, really cool. And so, the makers have been awesome. I don't even know where I would start, honestly, with who exactly I would want to collaborate with.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is, one thing I've been thinking about is collaborating with some artists on some special fabrics and patterns that could really kind of distinguish the bag. That would be interesting and something that I haven't seen a ton of kind of in this world. So that's one avenue.
If you're an artist, FYI, there you go, right?
Let's go.
Yeah.
So that would be something unique. I also like the idea of collaborating with folks who work on other aspects of kind of the carry world, where we could do some cross collaboration around things. I think that would be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Maybe us. But cool. And then what do you hope people would feel when they used your piece?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I hope that they feel it is, a well-made, thoughtful item that they cherish. I think, these things they're not cheap.
Yeah.
A lot has gone into them, and a lot of input from the community, from myself, the designs, the work in actually making them. We have an amazing partner who does extraordinarily high quality work. And so I want people to feel that like the care that's been put in, the thought, the fact that it's, in many ways 20 years in the making to kind of come out with these. And then I think the other thing is, feel like you're supporting a small company.
Yeah.
Just super cool. And people, like I said, in the community here have been awesome as we kind of get off the ground.
Yeah. I think there's something there where if you're a maker or you make your own product, like you are on the streets and then you see someone, or even on Instagram, so you're like, is that my bag?
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like nice be able to. It's the same feeling as getting the first order on your
100%.
website. Yeah. So
the first person that walked in today, it was like, I'm here to see these held closely bags, and you're like, me?
This is real.
This is real. This is real life. It's awesome. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Absolutely, dude. And then Yeah, I mean, do you? Okay, well, we talked about a few of your future plans, but like, is there any long-term goals for like the brand itself, or like what you want to do? Like, do you want to be able to be like? Did you want to eventually go into apparel? Do you want to be able to kind of like, I don't know, design bags for cars, like, you know, spaceships? So like, what is there anything there?
I think so. You know, really the focus for me has been around travel. That's kind of the centerpiece of the brand. And kind of this one bag or, you know, 1.5 bag travel, the minimalist deal. So I think expanding, if I think about, you know, down the road, expanding the brand, continuing in that direction, supporting travel as a whole and that activity, I think it's a really important thing, you know, philosophically for people to do, to go out and see the world, experience places, different cultures, different ways that people live. I think that's kind of, you know, the big goal.
Yeah.
So anything that kind of supports that, you know, I would,
It's like a mission where you kind of like that guides your kind of decision making and your road to the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And then last question is, if you could give advice to designers starting out, you know, this is like the usual question, right? Like, what would you trying to give like the cliche? Just start, man. Try to give something a little bit unique, but not to put you on the spot. But what kind of advice would you give designers or like bag, or even like small businesses out there?
Yeah, well, it's hard not to say just start. That's the hardest part.
The hardest part.
Is by, you know, this is 20 years ago, you know, right there. It took a while to start.
Yeah.
I think maybe the advice I'd give then, if it's not that, is pick the thing that you're good at and dive all the way into that piece of the process, and then find folks around you who can support you and help teach you about the other parts of the process. So for me, kind of that first, you know, piece was the design side, the drawing and sketching, which is really where everything started. And, you know, I was able to go deep there and communicate my ideas that way. And then look to other people to help me kind of figure out, okay, well, how do I translate this, you know, into the language for manufacturing? I use my buddy at Studio Far to help me with that. You know, how do I, you know, set up, you know, you're building a business, you got to set up QuickBooks and deal with taxes and all that fun stuff, right? So went to other friends and, you know, asked them about that and kind of got those things, because I knew that wasn't my area of expertise. So, you know, focus on what you're good at and then ask people. People, you know, in this community have been super nice and helpful. I
think that's something that isn't talked about a lot. I think of everyone, when you hear about people starting their own businesses, or like, you know, even like Apple, like Tim Cook, or like, you know, like or like Microsoft and Gates and, you know, et cetera, they're all fixated on the one guy, right? But to kind of like steer the boat and to kind of like have the boat move at all, it takes a bunch of people. And I think even for UrbanCred, where like for me, like I ran the website solo for the longest time, and then when I really opened retail, that was the first time where like I had a handle in, you know, with other people. And then like now, like with Gordon and Frank, they're behind the scenes here, but without them, like I would probably not have gotten to this point. You know what I mean? Like it's to be able to have people where you can like trust and rely on to do things, and then have them trust you back to kind of have their back. It's a nice feeling, but it's also like good to be able to have people there to help you.
100%.
And I think it's like, it doesn't even have to be friends. Like if you could reach out and network to people who are like, you know, like you said, in the community, I'm sure like they're willing to help out, give you, at least point you in the right direction. So it's just a matter of like asking, and I guess you will receive, maybe. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Alex, thank you for doing this event with us.
Thank you for hosting.
Sitting down during this, Saturday evening to do this Q&A interview. And thank you guys for watching this. We do this because we want to give you some insight and content just to kind of pass your time and enjoy, but also just as our way of giving back to community. It's just fun to do. So thank you for coming out to the event. If you did, if you missed out, shame on you, but there's always next time, and we will catch you later. Peace out.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.